Hello, welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is day 2 of the 12 cast-ons 2025. It is the 26th of December as I'm recording this, although it'll probably be a week or two before this actually gets edited together and makes it up onto the YouTube channel. Circumstances this year have meant that I'm actually spending Christmas home alone, and yes, I have been wandering around the house shouting out "Merry Christmas, you filthy animals" every now and then because I'm alone. I had planned to make this video yesterday on Christmas Day itself, but I woke up with the worst headache bordering on migraine yesterday. My day yesterday was a little bit of a washout, which is fine. These things happen and it could be worse. As I say, I'm home by myself, so I didn't ruin anyone else's day. Some of the things that I was going to do yesterday, like make myself a nice roast dinner and open a couple of gifts, I'm going to be doing that today instead. Hopefully I'll share some of that stuff with you as we go through the day. But of course, the main thing that you are here for is to find out what I'm going to be casting on as Project 2 for our 12 cast-ons this year. Project 2 is going to be my first garment of this cast-on extravaganza. And it's the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan, which is a pattern by Katrin, I think it's Katrin Seeberger. I really liked this pattern when it was first released, probably a couple of years ago now. I fell in love with it even more when I saw my friend Ruth's version, and Ruth kindly let me try hers on while we were away one weekend and just made me determined that I was going to cast this project on. And then a couple of months ago, the lovely Mairead, one of our community members, gifted me the pattern, so it all seemed like the signs were pointing to me casting this on this year for our 12 cast-ons. I'll try and pop up a picture on the screen of what the pattern looks like. This project is also going to be part of the YarnNYarns scrap make along for 2025 as well, because I have raided my leftovers and I'm also going to be repurposing some yarn from some projects that I cast on previously and they didn't work out. And I have this bag of yarns. Most of these are actually Rowan Valley Tweed yarns. There's also a few Jameson yarns in here. There's some Bar-Ramu, there's some Kate Davies yarns, a good mix of different bits and pieces, either left over from previous projects or yarn that I wound up for another project that didn't quite work out as I was hoping. I haven't had a chance to swatch for this project. I had grand plans of trying to be more prepared this year and sort of swatching for the garments that I wanted to make, but time just did not cooperate. But the good thing about this project is I'm going to be knitting a lot of squares, and so I can use my first square as my swatch and I can adjust accordingly as we go along. I'll try and share a little bit more about my yarns as we go through. I'm just going to pick a couple of colours at random today to make my first square, and we'll see how far we get today. I've got this lovely Christmassy project bag that was gifted to me a few years ago by one of our community members, Pamela, so this is where my yarns will actually be living once I get my needle sorted and get started with this project. I just need to cast on, get going and see how the first square works up. Ideally, I'd love to make my first square today and then figure out whether I need to adjust my needle size and my tension. So yeah, that's the aim for the day. I'm still feeling a little bit fuzzy headed from the migraine yesterday, so I'm just gonna take things easy and see how far I can get. I decided to start with a classic Grello combination. Both of these yarns I think are Rowan Valley Tweed. I know this one definitely is the grey one. I think the yellow one is. I've done the first probably quarter, yeah, the first quarter of the first square. Oh God, it's going to be very tricky to show this to you. It's curling up There's enough here to measure how wide this square is to compare with the gauge of the pattern. As per usual, my gauge is slightly off. I tend to be a slightly looser than average knitter. This pattern, you are holding your yarns double. I don't think I'd want my gauge to be any tighter, because I think that would just be too hard on my hands, too much like hard work on my hands. If I went down to a 4mm needle, this is a 4.5mm needle. So instead, what I think I'm going to do is go down to the middle size. So there are 3 sizes in the pattern, and originally I was going to make the largest size. The difference between the sizes in the patterns come down to the number of stitches that you cast on to make your patches, your squares. This is designed to be an oversized garment anyway. There's no shaping as such, I don't believe. Fit is probably less important on this pattern than it might be with some other patterns. So I think my compromise will be to cast on for the second size. So I'm going to be casting on 4 fewer stitches in each of my blocks. Probably end up with the measurements for the largest size, even though I'm knitting the middle size, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. My brain is still not braining properly. So yeah, I'm going to rip out this small start that I've made, cast on with fewer stitches. I need to print out the chart for the next size down, and I shall start again and hope that that will get me closer to where I want to be. If it does turn out that by casting on the fewer stitches I end up with something that's going to be potentially too small, I will probably just go back to this size. And if it's more oversized, then it's not really going to matter. As I say, the garment is designed to be oversized anyway. Not entirely sure where today has gone. I have been knitting away, but I also made myself a nice roast dinner, my Christmas-ish dinner for one. And aside from that, I've been pottering around the house and yeah, just relaxing and having a nice day before I have to head back to work tomorrow. I have managed to finish my first square-ish rectangle for the cardigan. Knitting on the 4.5mm needles, the stitches for the size 2, I'm getting a block that is about the same size as for size 3. So it has worked out okay. I'm maybe like 1/4 centimetre bigger still than the block should be, but that's neither here nor there really. I've been going backwards and forwards about how to knit the rest of these. The pattern says to do stranded colour work flat, which I have done. The back is not particularly neat and tidy though, and there are some long areas where you have to carry your yarns, and I have kind of caught up the floats in the traditional way, and I think I can get away with it with this yarn because the grey has different flecks of colour in it, including a bit of yellow, and the yellow has different flecks of tweedy colour in it, including the grey. So the bits where you sort of catch the yarn don't show through quite as much on this yarn. However, not all of my yarns are going to be like this. I momentarily thought about doing intarsia, but I've got to knit 27 of these to make the cardigan, and that's going to be one heck of a lot of ends to weave in if I go the intarsia route. So I'm thinking maybe I shall remind myself how to do the ladderback jacquard technique, which I used for the Carlina sweater that I made a couple of years ago. It was quite easy if I can remember rightly. However, I was knitting that sweater in the round, so I just have to see if there's any differences to doing that flat. But I think I might investigate that for the next block. I'm going to cast on the next block tonight, but we're heading towards 9 o'clock already, so I don't know how far I will get, particularly if I'm going to watch a couple of videos for the ladderback jacquard. I might even only get as far as picking out my colours for the next block and casting on, but we shall find out later how far I do get. I'm going to open my present. So if you watched my last part of Vlogmas-ish, you would have seen that I got a lovely gift in the mail from Christine, all the way from Australia, and I was saving it for Christmas Day. So I'll open up the card first and I'll show that to you. Oh, that's so cute. It's got koala, kangaroo and a little cockatoo on the front there, with a lovely long message inside. So I won't read that now, I will read that once I've switched the camera off. It seems a real shame to open this gift, which has been so nicely wrapped I'll see how well I can save the paper. So just as a reminder, in case you didn't watch my last part of Vlogmas-ish, there is a fabulous kiwi pin on the outside of this gift as part of the gift tag. So I'm going to add that to one of my project bags. I do have a project bag that I made from some fabric that I picked up when James and I visited his sister, who lives in New Zealand, quite a few years ago now. So I might add the kiwi to that project bag. There's something squishy inside. Oh, this is so sweet. Thank you so much again, Christine. So I've got some toffee milk chocolate to enjoy. Royal macadamia nuts. Oh, I look forward to trying those. I've got a fridge magnet which says, kindness, it costs nothing, but means everything. That's lovely too. With a beautiful fern on there. I love that. I've got a couple of magnets up on my heater in the craft attic. There's electric radiators up there, but I don't switch them on because in the winter I'm not up there long enough to to need heat. So I've decorated those with a few magnets. So that will probably go up there to add to my little magnet collection. And then I have this amazing fabric. Look at this, how glorious is this? Birds with Christmas hats and candy canes and gifts. I've got some fabric that Christine sent me last year as well that I've set aside to make some project bags for myself. I haven't had my sewing machine out at all in 2024, so I'm going to be rectifying that in 2025. Shall I talk about, I might as well talk briefly about it here, even though it's going to not be particularly relevant to this video and it'll make this video a little bit longer. But if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know that once the cast-ons are over in February, I will start doing my monthly making plans, where I pick some random prompts for myself to help me kind of concentrate on a few projects in the month. After the 12 cast-ons, I've usually got so many projects on the needles, I can end up procrastinating a bit and sort of going backwards and forwards and not really deciding what to work on. As part of my making plans, I have got a new sort of random wheel. I've got a little app on my phone and it spins a wheel for me and picks something random, and on that app I've got a new wheel where I'm adding some projects that are not necessarily knitting or crochet, but they're things that have been in progress for a while. They're all fibre adjacent, so there's some embroidery, there's some needle felting, some bits and pieces that I've started but haven't finished. And on that I've got project bag making. At some point in 2024 that will come up on the wheel and I will get my sewing machine out and make some project bags. So thank you so much, Christine, for this gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. You always find the most fun fabric. Thank you so much. You've made my Christmas day. It's the only gift that I've had to open. I know, poor me. Honestly, it's fine. James and I don't really do gifts to each other at Christmas, and obviously this Christmas has been a bit strange anyway. So yeah, it was nice to have one special gift under the tree to open, and of course, as I've shared with you throughout December, I've had other special gifts sent to me as well, so I am not feeling hard done by it at all. I'm not the only one that has a gift under the tree though. Newt has one too, and Newt's gift is from Fred, who is a lovely ginger cat who belongs to my friend Angie. I don't know how interested she's going to be in it right now. She's snoozing behind me, but I will open it on her behalf. So cute, look. And it's a fabulous catnip mouse. Fred has gifted Newt a few of these over the years. She loves them so much. There's a little collection down on the floor by the television. She just rolls around on them, slobbers all over them. They are well loved and she plays with them all the time. So I'm sure once she wakes up, she's gonna love this. Hey, sleepyhead. She's drooling on it and rubbing all over it already. That woke her up, didn't it? Ooh. That's a bit too close. Thank you to Fred and to Angie for Newt's fabulous gift. Okay, back to knitting, and I'll see how far I can get on the second piece for my Heirloom quilt cardigan. So I've been having a little bit of a rummage in that big plastic bag that I had earlier, and I've tried to sort my yarns out a little bit. So in my project bag, I've put the larger quantities that I've got of the Rowan Valley tweed. I've also got a smaller plastic bag here, which has got little bits of Rowan Valley tweed in. I've got some Kate Davies yarn in that little pile. There is some Bar-Am-U. There's a little bit of Cartrev. Sorry, this is going in and out of focus because I stuck my finger in it. I've got this Jameson's, which it was the leprechaun colourway, which I used in my Advent mittens. And actually I've got some Wold's Poppy, which I used in my Advent mittens last year. I've also got these 4 reds, which were kindly gifted to me. But I'm thinking I will probably use this darker red, but I might put these aside because I think looking at all of the other colours that I've got here, they're just a bit too bright compared to the others. So I think they might stand out a little bit too much. I've got a little bit of Exmoor sock left. I'm not sure if that will be enough to make a block or not, but I might give it a try. And then I got sent a sample of YarnNadelic yarn as well. So yeah, I've got a few things to add in. I'm a little bit more organised with the yarn now, which is good. So I need to pick out 2 for the next block. Before I catch you up with what I managed to get done and my thoughts on the Heirloom quilt cardigan so far, I am going to, of course, catch you up with some of the fabulous cast-ons from our wonderful community. It's been a couple of days since I posted video number 1, and there were so many comments under that video. I'm not quite caught up yet, so I'm going to shout out as many people as I could fit on my piece of paper. And hopefully I will get to anyone that I've missed out in the next video or 2. We've still got plenty of videos to come, so plenty of time for me to catch up and share with you all of the wonderful cast-ons that have been happening. Tanya has cast on some Oxbow socks, a surf sweater and a plump Harlow. Kay Gillespie has started some late bloomer mitts. Linda has cast on all 12 of her projects. So she started a crochet blanket, a woolly waffle sweater, the H-Cow shawl, Alpine Bloom sweater, the Jethro cardigan, garter scarf, socks, vest, hat, crochet baby blanket, a bolero and some stripe step socks. Put my teeth in. That's amazing, Linda, well done. And Linda has been vlogging her projects over on her podcast, which is the Disley Sisters Knitting Podcast, I think. I'll put links below. Shelley has cast on and finished some Liberty Lace mitts, and she's also cast on and finished a Maxine hot water bottle cover. As well as those, she started a Glow Hair Frost shawl, a Fossil Frenzy cowl, Scattered Petals cowl, and the Polka Cats jumper. Kirsty, who's also vlogging her projects over at Kirsty Knits and Sews, has started since the last video Sweetheart mittens, St John's dress, Ali sweater, a Bradley Cobb stitch jumper, the DRK Everyday cowl, Jingle Jangle socks, and the Kookaburra sweater. Dashdown Diaries, who's also been vlogging their cast-ons. Again, I shall try and link channels below for anyone who has a channel that I'm mentioning here. Has cast on and cast off a pair of mittens, 3 sweaters, a poncho, 2 shawls, 5 pairs of socks, and a squirrel bucket. Tonya has cast on 2 hats, has started a 365 granny square challenge, and has started a crochet scarf. Robin has cast on socks, and she said, inspired by my last video where I cast on 9 pairs of socks, she's casting on 3 hats and is counting those as one project. Quite a few people since the last video said they're going to cast on a collection of things and count them as one cast on, so that has made me chuckle that you're all being sneaky and adding in some extra projects, because, you know, 12 is not enough, obviously. Robin's also started a night shift and 8 sweaters. Jenny has started 6 projects in total, but she said that she started 2 specifically that were inspired by some of my previous projects. So Jenny started some craggy shore socks, and I absolutely love knitting those. I think that was a pattern picked for me by the community. Was it Kathy who picked that pattern for me to cast on? And Jenny's also cast on I hope it's not cast on an Ursa sweater. That's right, Ursa. Rachel has cast on and finished a scrappy hot water bottle cover, and for anyone casting on scrappy projects from leftovers, please don't forget you can also include your finished objects in the YarnNYarns scrap mail, which will also be running throughout 2025. Rachel's also cast on 2 pairs of socks and a My Secret crop top. Deborah has cast on a barbel hat, and again, inspired by the last video, she said she's also going to knit the barbel cowl and mittens and count those as one project. She's cast on a cable cardigan, baby hat and mittens, the Deborah's biking cardigan, some socks, the surrender shawl and the storm seeker socks. Ree Knits For Me has cast on a Felix cardigan, a Simon shawl and some vanilla socks. Teresa has started 2 pairs of socks. Lee has started some crochet socks, a gnome and a crochet coaster using the mosaic crochet technique. Corrie has started a self-designed raglan sweater. She's putting some cables into the raglan, which sounds absolutely lovely. Jan has made some rolags on her new blending board. She's started and finished a baby jumper, started a scarf, a Wilfrida sweater, and is also making some scrappy socks inspired by Elmer the elephant, if any of you know that kids book. Shah has started some Fairy Lights socks in the Fairy Lights Sparkle. She mentioned those because I cast those on in the last video. She's also started 2 pairs of mitts, another pair of socks, an In Stillness sweater and the Pampers tee. Turtle for Cats has started the Starflake shawl, and Jane has started a muscle bra and 2 pairs of socks. So that is everyone who I have had time to catch up on their comments with for this video. As I say, there's plenty more cast-ons going on. Whether you're casting on just 1 thing or 12 things, I love to see all of your new projects, and thank you so much for your participation in the make along. Time for me to chat a little bit more about the Heirloom Quilt Cardigan. I'm in daylight now, which I wasn't when I was showing these off the other day. So this was my first square. Because it's been a few days now, I can't remember exactly what I've chatted about, but yeah, I was a little bit about the sort of state of the back of that project. So I decided for the second block of the cardigan to try out a little bit of ladderback jacquard, which is a different way for sort of catching your floats, where you've got long rows of stitches in the same colour. So the back of my second block I am much happier with. It's looking much neater, much more tidy, much more sort of in control. So I'm definitely going to go forward with the ladderback jacquard. I will link the video if you're interested in finding out more about that technique. I'll link the video that I've been using. It's really simple once you get the hang of it. The only thing I will say about doing it for this particular pattern is, because this is knit back and forward, so it's not knit in the round, I have to be extra careful about where my extra stitches are for the ladderback jacquard, because when you're working on the reverse side with all of your strands, particularly on sort of bits on this side here where the colours are sort of changing over and I might have had a ladderback stitch in here, it can get a little bit confusing as to what's a real stitch and what's a ladderback stitch on the back, on the reverse side. Not on the front side. On the front side it's very obvious, but on the reverse side. What I'm going to do is, on my chart, I'm just going to get a highlighter and mark in where I'm going to put my ladderback stitches, and hopefully that will just help me on those purl rows. Yeah, I think I will hopefully return to this sooner rather than later, just so I can finish this block and get my chart marked up while I've got it in mind, and hopefully that will then sort of set me up for the rest of the project when I come back to it. As you can see, for my second block I went for a traditional sort of Christmassy green and red. I thought I was casting this on Boxing Day, wasn't I? So yeah, I thought I'd have at least one kind of Christmassy square. I don't want this to be a Christmas cardigan as such, but I thought it would be fun to have at least one that was like a bit of a nod to the season. day 2 and I managed 1 block and a half out of the 27 blocks that I'm going to need for this cardigan. A few people in their posts on Instagram, their comments under YouTube, have said how hard it is once you've cast on a project and you're really excited about it and you're sort of into the flow of it, how hard it is to then step away from it. And I completely get that. That is the downside of, of the 12 cast-ons, I will fully admit. But yeah, anytime I pick up any of my project bags with the new cast-ons on, I just want to get back to them. But that's a good thing, right? It means that we've cast on projects that we are excited about, that we want to work on. So better that than the opposite, where we cast on and then have no sort of urge to get back to the project. Time for me to sign off for day 2 of our cast-ons. So still 10 more videos to come. They are going to be spread out across January, and we might even go into February. I'm going to be spending at least 1, maybe 2 weekends away from home in January. Just family circumstances continue to mean that we need to be away a fair amount. So yeah, that impacts the time I have at home to both make the videos, do the cast-ons, and then ultimately to edit it and to gather everyone's comments so I can share what everyone's casting on and things. So please, I'm going to be posting as often as I can, but yeah, please just bear with me. This sort of series of videos is not going to be like it has in past years, where I put the videos up in quick succession after the other. It's just life is getting in the way at the moment, which is fine. Do let me know in the comments below what you have been casting on since the last video, or if you're not casting on anymore, just what you've been working on. I love to be inspired by all of your wonderful making. I will of course be back again soon with some more making content. The next video should be cast on number 3, so I hope you will join me for that one. Until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some other things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.